Good morning and welcome to today's live show where we're going to be doing some technical analysis for the SPY keys, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Nvidia, AMD, and Meta going forward. Looking at a bunch of other stocks too. You guys can always, you can always ask for me to check out a little bit of a stock, see if it's a good option, or see if we can learn something from it. And if you do want to learn about this stuff, make sure to note that you only have about 4 or 5 days, right? Like 4 days, 5 days until that price of that course down in the description goes up. So make sure to grab that before the weekend. We're going to be talking a lot about that. And if you have questions about it, please ask those questions live or leave a comment or something like that. Usually if you show up live, we can talk about it a little bit. But 149, and then that price is going to go up in a few days. But good morning. As we look at the SPY here, it looks like we're seeing some slightly upward price action as of right now. I know that Apple's buying up pretty good. That's why I didn't really take that until I see that confirmation. So we're going to talk about Apple going forward, see if we can make an upward move. Maybe we want to touch the upside expected move today. That very well could happen. But good morning as we trickle in the Qs. You can see a similar thing starting to pop up. Now, no divergence on the top here for the MACD. So this could just be some kind of pullback. Let's be open to both scenarios and just play what's in front of us, right? So that's all we're going to do throughout the week today. Seeing if we could see a breakdown to really get us into oversold conditions and set up some good trades outside of these weekly ranges. Let's see if we can wait for some of that to happen. Tesla's going to zero. There's no future for it. We'll have to see. Right now, I don't think it is. Right now, it's up like 5% or something, or 3% or something like that. See Apple making the big upward move. So this is where I'd pay attention to my weekly expected moves already, because it's probably heading up towards it. I mean, I can pull it up over here for a moment and just see, okay, what's going on here? Well, let's click on Apple. All right, looks like we are heading towards it. We still got some room to the upside there, but I'd be worried about this fading this morning. This is a big move. And, we were stating how it's out of those oversold conditions, so it can make that move right now. But it really looked like it wanted to get those buyers first. So this could be some kind of trap leading on to some kind of drop throughout the week. And then maybe we're able to base out something like that. But if it wants to keep going, right, it has that daily momentum behind it. So I totally would understand if it wants to keep going. I just think that if it keeps going, it's going to have to pull back dramatically at some point because earnings could mess it up and things like that. But Tesla, it's seeing an upward move as well. This one as well looks like, what did we do? Well, we pulled back. We got out of those oversold conditions. What's the important number to get above? 180.92. Now, the thing about Tesla as of right now, it's well outside of its range for the week. So maybe it does just want to trade outside that range because that's a big move. And remember, if we stay above 180.92, that's pretty bullish. So if we came down to this level, we're able to retest. Maybe we come a little bit below that. That's something I would look into. But Tesla seeing a good buy up here. You're seeing that daily momentum take over on Tesla. Don't really want to fight too much against that. Amazon as well, seeing upward moves. The thing about these upward moves is this is too excited, in my opinion. So this is too much excitement, and we have the potential for a rug pull at some point if we start to do this. Just because you'd rather see the structure first, and then you're healthy going into this move. You can keep it going. But if you just go right here, well, now it's not that healthy, and it might have to pull down somewhere to find those buyers anyway. So pay attention to any fading going on this morning. If we're just going to see the bullishness take over, okay, we still have to wait for our moment, right? We see that curl down. We have to wait for our entry. We don't want to get FOMO'd into anything, and Amazon does have earnings coming up very, very soon. Believe that is Tuesday after hours. Nvidia, now this one behaving kind of how it should be at this point, right? This is a big overextended move. We weren't able to come back and do any retests just yet, so that very well could happen. I'd pay attention to my weekly ranges for Nvidia. AMD, this one getting a little excited, right? It's going to immediately be overbought on this 30-minute, and it would have done better to pull down to this area, grab some buyers in this, grab some buyers in this. So AMD could see that fade. If people get really excited before earnings, just watch out because, that can be a 50-50 flip and could go the other way on you. We've seen a lot of stuff go the other way on everyone for earnings. Meta, this one dropping off. Remember, Meta looking for a subtle divergence in here would be very nice, and you're seeing that drop off. You kind of expect the direction to continue at this point. Could we get some kind of ABC or some kind of ABC that tapers, and then boom, you get to play some kind of divergence. So I'm paying attention to the downside weekly expected moves for Meta going forward. Now things are starting to open up, so let's go over to the SPY. That's probably going to be the one that we want to pay the most attention to this morning. And we're seeing things start to open up a lot higher. Tesla already starting to fade the move just a little bit. See if this will load. Oh boy. Thought Amazon earnings considering insiders have been selling. I mean, it very well could be that, especially if we're getting excited right now. So you're seeing Amazon up 1.17%, Tesla's up 10%. Things are getting way too excited, way too fast, and we still have some big data that could come up. Sorry that took so long to load. Everything's fine on my left screen, but my right one's eh. So I mean, technically you would say, well, what stocks have sold off with the insider selling? And so you'd say, well, we can't go off of Nvidia. Maybe one that we could go off of is Meta. So Meta had Zuckerberg selling throughout that inside move. We know Jeff Bezos is selling in this upside move. So that's what I would be paying attention to. Maybe there's a correlation there. But once again, that's just a maybe. You still have pretty much a 50-50 shot. That's why we kind of made the joke yesterday. Like, you might as well flip a coin and go in that direction, right? You might as well do what that one guy does and get his goldfish to swim to one of the upper downs or something. You know what I mean? Palantir, we can look at Palantir real quick. And yeah, it's pumping up, but it's still in its little channel here. And we're going already up towards that daily expected move. I don't know. Why is this so slow? I'm going to reload over here, maybe. Actually, let's just reload it right here. There we go. Maybe that'll help a little bit. I don't know why it's being funky today. Just feels a little off. All right, Palantir, let's try to look at that real quick. Let's see if that'll load for us. There we go. All right, Palantir, talking about this 2029, now we're heading up. One thing about this move that I'm interested in. Okay, see, you're coming out of the flagging for Palantir, so every time now you would still expect a pullback here. You would still expect a pullback. Where are you heading into? Well, a bunch of liquidity, big liquidity zone. This point right here, probably something like 23, 21. If we can reach up there a little bit. Hey, well, you're completing cup and handle. You have structure to head higher. You see the big head and shoulders, probably a little better on a 2 hour. But 30-minute there just looks pretty cooked, right? Doesn't it look cooked? So people getting way too excited, and that can cause dramatic drops when people get too excited. So just be careful. But you're coming up into this very important area. Maybe we do want to do something like this. And guess what? All you got to do, watch this curl over, and then boom, curl back up. Now you do have earnings, so you got to watch out for that as well. We're breaking out of structure here. This is a big move. Oh God, be cautious. We're already heading up towards that daily expected move in the first few minutes of trading. Yeah, we can check on the dollar. I'm interested to see if the dollar is doing anything crazy. So my trading list is pretty much the same as this. I just cut out a lot of this stuff. Like, yeah, let's go see what the dollar's doing. So the dollar backing off as of right now. No, you don't want to do a 15-minute. Maybe we just want to look at this on the daily scale. You can see the dramatic pull down here. So if we go to like a 2 hour or something like that, you're going to see, hey, this is some dramatic buying going on right here last night. So now we're seeing that scoop back up. The thing about this bottom here is it almost is a divergence that's already in positive territory. So dollar has a good shot to break out here. Be cautious as of right now to the upside. And we're touching our daily expected move. So you know that this moves a little much, right? We know this moves a little much. Now, if we see that bullishness come in, now what do we want to pay attention to here? So we want to see if we're able to take 510.98 and then use that as support. That would be your sign. Like if we can retake this, all right, we can continue to be bullish. Maybe we go sideways. But if we start to reject from this area, get above it, reject from this area, that could mean, hey, this is bad. The direction is actually going to be this way for a few days here. We get a bunch of earnings. So, but dollar looks like a breakout is coming again. Right, we saw that flagging, we dipped down, that makes sense, there's bullishness right now, but now it's starting to grow as we keep going green. So we'll pay attention, but the dollar looks like it could end up positive by end of day. Volatility, something we didn't really cover this morning yet. Still waiting on this 2 hour to fully confirm, right? This 2 hour needs to confirm, but other than that, it looks like volatility is going to be coming back into this market soon. And it's actually confirming on these last few bars, but starting to reject. So we'll see if that wants to go negative. Line in the sand, probably something like a 1502 looks pretty good. So 1502 reading would be good. But remember, if we wanted to, we could just get bullish and go all the way down to 1212 because of those daily MACDs for Tesla and Apple. They could just take over, which is kind of sketchy. Oh, and IWM was added to the Patreon, by the way. The way I have it set up, I need to like rearrange it, but it's going to take a minute because I built that Excel spread and stuff. So I can do those calculations for you over on Patreon for those weekly expected moves. You can get that for IWM now. It's just at like the bottom of the list. Every time I add one, I just put it at the bottom of the list because I'm like, ah, crap, I got to organize this a little bit better. Hey, people like that news. You want to know why Tesla's pumping? It's because the daily momentum is starting to take over. Now, it looks like a pullback is necessary, but when the daily momentum takes over, boom, you see that big move up. Remember, we were stating how Tesla has the opportunity now to get up into this area. We said that multiple times over the weekend. This area up here, it has a chance to get there. But I think now that we're in this area, what are we going to do? Well, we're probably going to retest 180.92. We're probably going to retest that because that's a pretty important level. So if we can retest that and curl up on a 2-hour or a 30-minute, boom, you could see the next move. So we'll have to pay attention going forward to Tesla, but right now the direction for you is up. You know it's above your weekly range. So you don't necessarily want to be like bullish right here. You want to see structure, see another move to at least have a reason to take a trade. But taking it at this moment, you can just see from a 2-hour, you're cooked. You're very cooked. So now you can pull down and maybe curl back up by end of week. We'll have to see if that's going on. We get a lot of data. We get jobs data this week. We get Fed interest rate decision. We also get earnings. There's a lot to pay attention to. Nvidia starting to back off. So this is more what the market should be doing. Is at least a healthy market would do this. And now you see it curl down on the 30-minute for a little while, curl back up. Okay, another positive move coming for Nvidia if this can happen. I'd just be very careful with upside moves when we do have earnings. And earnings have ripped a lot away these days. Good prints with a bad statement, bad prints with a good statement. It's just a very confusing time for that. Now Dow Jones able to make this upward move. Still looks like it wants to curl down. Remember, the Dow not fighting this level here right now. The SPY fighting these levels, right? Going up a little higher. Dow not doing that as of right now. Now this is a cup, and there is a deep handle here if it wants to break through that level. But the Dow kind of saying, hey, I might want to pull back here. It's not looking as strong as the overall market. And the SPYs, now that I say that, isn't looking as strong either, right? It's starting to fade the move. So this is why we're cautious to the upside going on, because we know it's very much more likely to see some kind of pullback. AMD drop, you'd kind of say it's probably going to follow the market or Nvidia, and so now you're seeing that pull back. You want to wait for these to cross over. Boom, you crossed over. Okay, that next upward move might have even, come up to this point between these highs. So we told you about the flagging going on here. Overall, that's what's happening. You're kind of just flagging dramatically up. If you want to draw this differently, you'd probably say, okay, this is probably my direction here. And let me just plot this real quick. Boom. Okay, something like that. And then you would say, all right, well, this one here, if I wanted to, I could just do this. And look, it looks like a perfect flag there. So it looks like we're going to see this drop down, but you still want those confirmations 2 hours rolling over. And earnings have to cause a lot of this probably. So if AMD has earnings, I'm probably not trading around it. But I think like maybe this could be an overreaction type thing. Like AMD produces good numbers, but says something bad that crashes down, and then we get good news with the Fed or something like that, and then it starts to curl back up. So we'll pay attention. We just have to react to what's going on. And right now we're still 2 hour in positive territory. So till that goes negative, we can't even really talk about this happening. We can't even talk about this happening really until that even crosses on this MACD, because it's going to take some time. How long would that take? If we get a drop off, that'd be pretty good. So let's see, are these 30 minutes starting to roll down? Look at that, the move is fading. This is why we're paying attention to downside. Tesla up 12% now. That is a great move for Tesla. I'm glad I didn't short that or anything like that. I don't short around earnings. Salutations, Gabo. The girls aren't here today, Gabo. I'm sorry, you won't hear any crying. They went to Target. They went to Target. Target. Man, you guys think I look tired today, but I slept really, really good. That's why I look tired. My eyes all dry. I get dry skin on this eye. Sucks. All right, we still got to see if this wants to prove itself. And something we're going to see if it does prove to be true, right? We get the confirmation of this is we can go look at volatility, see if that's turning up on a 2-hour, because really looks like that's probably going to happen. Dollar still only down 0.18 at this point. Remember, that had a big reaction down before the open today, last night. TLT making another upward move, but seeing that move fade as well. So what could happen here? Well, we could fade this move. We could come down and test this low, make a new one if we're able to cross over on this MACD because we're so close to the center line. So pay attention to that going forward. Remember, the yields are going to be moving this week. We do have some big data coming out. And let's go check on that data, by the way. I'm going to put you back on the SPY. Just leave us here for a moment. And I'm going to go look for what dates the actual data does come out. This for that. All right. Let's scream in the chat if this thing starts to crash down. Okay, so tomorrow Chicago PMI, some employment, so some employment cost data, and then underneath that we have PMI and JOLTS on Wednesday. So Wednesday is going to be a big day. You have earnings. You have a lot of earnings, and then you have a lot of earnings going on that come out Tuesday night, and then you also have job data in the morning. So it's going to be a very interesting week. So that's the first big data we want to pay attention to. And then guess what? That Fed interest rate decision comes out that night, or later on that day, about 2 hours before close. You'll get that, and then we get a Fed press conference. We'll have to see what happens with that. And then after that, literally the next day, non-farm payrolls and unemployment. So non-farm payroll is expected to come down. That's interesting. And the employment rate's supposed to stay steady. So we'll see what's going to happen with that. The JOLTS on Wednesday. Looks like it's supposed to come down a little bit. So that would actually be a little bit inflationary. PMI expected to go in at 50.1 or 49.9. So I'd be paying attention to maybe a hot print for PMI, and a low job openings could be bad for the market. And then we'll have to see if the Fed interest rate does anything to save the market at that point. Or if they're going to get saved by earnings the next day on Thursday. Maybe that's what causes us to come down. And then Thursday or Friday morning, we see good non-farm payrolls data. Because if the non-farm payrolls is going down, that's kind of a good thing. And if the unemployment rate can stay even when that happens, that would be, first of all, it kind of sounded like it's cooked with how that's being said out loud right now. But we can see that print, and people will react good to that. What's the news on Microsoft? Everything needs a pullback. I wouldn't say now that's a dramatic drop there. That is a dramatic drop there. Microsoft backed OpenAI faces Austrian privacy complaint over false data of individuals. All right, so now you're looking for some kind of divergence here. I don't know why my voice cracked, but for Microsoft, looking for that to curl back down. Remember, the 2 hours are really what we're paying attention to here. What could this do? Well, it could make a 30-minute and a 2 hour at the same time if we head to lower levels. Just look for those weekly expected moves. Not necessarily playing the downside here, just kind of saying, okay, well, I have to be ready to flip the script for a moment. Volatility, just want to pay attention whenever this thing is able to go positive. We could be seeing a big move from the volatility going forward, and then we just have to keep flipping back and forth, and we'll be just fine in a market like this. So Apple actually able to get to that upper zone. That is impressive. This is impressive. The fact that Apple's able to get up in this area, very, very cool. Let's see if it might be out of its weekly range already. Well, let's go check on Apple. Apple still has some room to the upside here for that weekly expected move, but you're about to touch the upside weekly expected move on Apple literally like now. So this move right here is massive. And I'm not necessarily saying like, oh, this has to crash down with earnings because it's way up here. I'm more saying now we want to wait for that 30-minute to pull down and then pull back up. But if that 2 hour, if that proves to be some dramatic selling and that 2 hour crosses down, well, I'd look for that divergence maybe right before. So if you see some kind of rip away here, we can still pay attention to downside, but from this area, just know this is pretty bullish. You're in positive territory, so anytime you scoop back up on a 30-minute, it's going to be a good thing. Because you'll notice the 30-minute now, first of all, very, very oversold or overbought. And now we want to wait for our beatdown. We want to wait for another opportunity to get into this at this point, and boom, this might happen to then do that. So I'd be just cautious with Apple going forward. That daily momentum is taking over, though. So I understand this is a good level for people to buy at. So I totally understand. Tesla going up to higher levels. We got to see if it stays above 180.92. Amazon, this thing's starting to fade that move. Okay. Nvidia starting to curl down on this MACD. What are we leaning towards here? Well, some kind of touch of this zone. I think a little touch of this zone would be very, very good for Nvidia going forward. AMD fading that move, starting to curl down. Want to see if that curls up one more time or if we break through this structure here. Meta. This one's starting to really drop off. Like this thing actually did gap down. So Meta is actually heading to lower levels, and we'll have to see if that crosses over. Remember, that could be brief, right? We could just do something like this. So just be careful with it. But Microsoft's seeing some good selling with that news. Google had the big upward move. I think if you really want to trade Google in a positive trend, right, then you probably want those weekly expected moves, because Google now has regular weekly expected moves, so it can pull down to those and just curl up into positive territory. You have a buy, and then boom, that thing makes a new high. So still expecting some kind of bullishness maybe from Google. Netflix going forward, look at that. Starting to coil up, starting to really coil up. A big move is coming. Is that going to go up or is that going to go down? Well, you'd want to pay attention. Is this 30-minute going to curl down and confirm it's going negative, or is it going to curl up, break through structure, and head into positive territory? So right now the 2-hour looking like it's still in negative territory, so you'd have to give a little bit of an edge to the bears from this level. If there is selling pressure here, that 2-hour momentum can take over and we could head to lower levels. Palo Alto actually seeing an upward move. Now this one, I was mapping it out, but right now you might even have 2-hour divergence, but I think you're going to have a 30-minute one right here. Yeah, there's your 30-minute, another divergence point here. If this whole move fades, that would be not very good. But it is breaking through this, I would say some flagging going on there. SMCI, let's see this on the 30-minute. Look at that, wanting to curl down into maybe negative territory if it can get there, but at this point, you'd say, what if it just does something like this? Well, we could curl down and curl back up positive territory. Remember, earnings coming out looks like May 1st, right? So Wednesday, let's see if that's after hours. Okay, Wednesday or Tuesday after hours, I apologize. Tuesday after hours, we do get SMCI numbers as well. So remember, there's a lot going on after Tuesday. So Wednesday could be a day where we start to test lower levels or test higher levels, and that's going to be a big day to pay attention to this market. Apple actually still heading higher, about a little more than 1 point away from its topside weekly expected move, just so you're aware. Meta, we went over. It's just 30-minute curling down on the MACD, the trend continuing, a downward trend that is. SoFi, ooh, see that thing dropping off. This is more what things should be doing, actually, is seeing some drop off and then basing out at lower levels. But SoFi here, looking like it's curling down on this 2-hour. Now, that's a dramatic move. So if we are going to see a turnaround, it would be in this area if we want to remain up in this MACD here, up in positive territory. But if we start to break through these levels, you're in a wedge. So I'll zoom out and show you guys the wedge that's formed here. Overall, this is a pretty good wedge. A third touch would be fine. You'd see this curl down like this, boom, make another point of divergence across all of this, another point of divergence here, and then maybe we see that break to the upside. We'll have to see. But just know, SoFi, you do have earnings coming up Monday morning. So, wait, that's right now. Where's the numbers? Where's the numbers? Well, obviously they weren't very good. So I don't really have the numbers yet, but I can go look at that. But for now, you just say, hey, the direction is chosen. So what do I want to do? Well, I probably want to look at a 30-minute. I want to see if this can curl back up, but most likely as this thing is ripping to the downside, if we can tear through these levels, look for some kind of bounce, but we could see that direction chosen. So if I had good earnings and a negative price action, so That's why we don't really like trading around earnings, because you can really frustrate yourself seeing 2 green numbers and then seeing the stock crash. Like if you were thinking, how pissed off are you at Netflix or something like that, right? Printing 2 great, like pretty dang good numbers, and then it just sells off. So thank you, Donald. I appreciate that. But I think the important thing is what's happening in the SPY, what's happening in the dollar, what's happening in the volatility. And right now, the dollar is still sitting where it was, and the SPY not able to confirm a downward move just yet. So just keep that in mind. We're not able to confirm anything down just yet. Be very careful with that. Apple actually is probably the thing. Apple, Tesla. What's the other one? Apple, Tesla. Yeah, it's pretty much just Apple and Tesla holding this thing up pretty. So if Apple starts to fade this move, then or Tesla starts to fade its move, and what does Apple do? Well, this is a sell zone, guys. Remember, this is a sell zone, so be cautious here. But Tesla starts to fade this move, Apple starts to fade the move, the SPY starts to go the other direction. Very interesting. Just looking at some stuff real quick. Fine. Right? Alrighty, let's see what you guys are chatting about over there. NASDAQ futures dropping. So we're seeing the Q's actually maybe confirming the downside at this point. And what's going to happen with that? Well, we're most likely going to see Apple fade this move. But just note, now that Apple's really high up in price, and we didn't necessarily make that divergence like right here, and we don't necessarily have that divergence even on the RSI anymore, but this could be some kind of pulling back. And then we could just see that curl back up into positive territory by the end of the week. I just want you to be aware of that going forward. Because now Apple's at such a high price. Yeah, it can sell off dramatically, but anywhere in here, you can see that just turn right back around because you're so high up. So I'd really be paying attention to the MACD, seeing if that curls up. What's the reading on the MACD, actually? What's the reading here? See if that has potential. Almost like a 0.73. So you got a lot coming down. You got a lot of room between the center line, so you do have potential here to just do something like this and then pull back up. Ooh, that sneeze really got to me. Tesla, let's see, similar story here, right? Still up there in positive territory, creating some divergence point at this point, but really you just want to see, does it keep 180.92? Okay, down. Now, does it go back within the ranges? Okay, then the direction might actually be to the middle of that range before it can curl back up. So that's what I'd pay attention to with Tesla. Looks like we could get a test of 180.92, and then we'll know, okay, now we want to see if it tests that weekly range. Now we want to see, does it curl back up by end of week in that range, or does it just start to confirm some downside over the next few days? IWM looking pretty positive here, but has the divergence, pretty sturdy divergence too, kind of a double top up here at this point. So when this bar prints, you'd really have that divergence set, and you just need that to curl down. And notice how close it is, even compared to the SPY. It's very close to negative territory. So small caps might see a little bit of a dramatic push down from this area, which is an important zone. We're back into it. It's a sell zone as well. So you see how the 30-minute can really roll over the 2-hour pretty quick. If we just see that 30-minute pull back, it will roll over this 2-hour and it'll go negative. So the likelihood of testing this low is actually pretty good this week. See if something like this can happen. That would be a sturdier base than what we have right now. Right now, if anything, you have like wedging going on, right? So you could see that drop to the downside if we break through some structure, but small caps might start to struggle. We'll have to pay attention. No 2 hours crossed over just yet. Let's look at volatility for a second. That thing's still green, not seeing that big pop yet. Dollar, not seeing that big pop out of this just yet. We need to really break through for that to happen, for this selling to happen, right? Keep that correlation. Dollar goes up, stocks go down. Well, we'll have to see, because right now the dollar, even at the end of the week last week, it was heading way up while the market was heading up as well. So that's what we're paying attention to. Eventually that will catch up. That will catch up to people. But looking at the SPY, the most important thing, seeing if this 30-minute can actually curl down into negative territory. I think that's the big tell sign that we're going to see some downside, and then we'll see that 2-hour crossover. Yeah, the Dow was just not completing all the way, like the SPY trading up in these levels, the Dow not even getting there, looking like it wants to roll down on the 30-minute. Just pay attention for that crossing. If this cross happens, well, you're probably continuing the negative trend. And then you just want to look for maybe a double bottom, or even be up into that curling back up. You just want to always be paying attention to that curling back up. But I think you got a good shot to come test this low down here, 37.7K. But we haven't confirmed any downside yet, so nothing really triggering for us just yet. Tesla is back, baby. Tesla's back, but it's starting to fade, man. It's Apple hitting that sell zone. That's why it's good to have that zone on your chart. This is a very good zone. This zone has gone back so far. Like, if you want to see how important this zone was, remember, we were talking about this zone way back in, what is this? August 2023. We were like, this zone's very important. We lose it, make sure we gain it back. What do? We pop our head outside of it, we retest in it, then we go up. We try to break, we actually gap all the way back down into it. We use it as support a few times, try to stay up. Boom, we touch the top of it, start to springboard down. So we fall even further. Then what do? We make a rapid move, we get above it, but we fade that move. So this zone up here is very good to pay attention to. What do we see in that zone right now? Well, we gapped almost out of it here. We sold off from here. We sold off from here. What if we sell off from here? We do something like that. But now at this point too, you would say if we do hold up at higher levels, you'd have a ton of liquidity built up in here. There's so much liquidity built up in this area. Kind of like we were talking about Tesla back when it had that one pop. Okay, well, now you have that for Apple. Apple really building liquidity in here. If it can break through this level, it's going to see a big move. So we really want to pay attention to any kind of pullback or something. Maybe this actually does take over and we see some positivity for a little bit here. Two things I'm really leaning toward in the market right now on the daily scale. I'm still looking for a lower high, but I'm open to this going to an all-time high. I'm really just seeing if this daily momentum can take over and go positive. If that happens, we have a good shot for some kind of A, B, C pattern. We go up to this level. And remember, if you want the monthly expected moves, this is a great week to join Patreon because we're giving out the monthly expected moves for every stock that we cover on this channel. So we're going to put those out throughout the week. Thank you guys so much for liking, subscribing, doing all that good stuff. You guys are always good about that. Hey, they took the little heart off. That's good. Now I can see the chat a little bit better. They don't have the heart down there anymore. And if you guys want to learn about some of this stuff, remember that course. It's only $149 for the next like 4 days or something, 5 days. 5 days? Yeah, 5 days, I think. So make sure to grab that if you're looking to learn this stuff. It's one of the best courses that you can literally probably take and then make all your money back that you spent on the course like the next day. Looking forward, Apple's still hanging out at these higher prices, but we just want to see if that thing's curling down at any moment at this point. Big pop up might be an overreaction at this point. NVIDIA actually able to buy back up on this move, so interesting there. Starting to flag out now. If we just flag out for a long time, we can see another upward move for NVIDIA. What I'd be paying attention to, still just the 30-minute curling up, positive territory. Good morning. I did your course over the weekend and it was very educational. Yeah, you bought it and then you took it a little bit later, I think, right, Bernie? And I hope it was beneficial. I hope you were able to learn some in detail stuff about these indicators, because I think I share some things with you that not a lot of people talk about. And the overall thing that we go over in the course is why this is very important, why divergence matters, why those things are important, and how to use them is a lot better structure for a course than just telling you what that is. It's like, oh, well, divergence is when the momentum's dying out. Okay, so why is that important for me to think about taking a trade? Well, we talk about what makes it important in the course, so you can get an in-depth knowledge of it. But thank you so much for the kind words, Bernie. I hope that, were you able to finish the whole thing? Because it's good. It's quick, but you can learn it literally over like a weekend. You could probably take it overnight. If anyone has a favorite thing about the course, I'd like to know what people really like about it. I'm just hearing like, oh, it's very good. I'm like, oh, but which part do you like the most? A lot of people like the 3 to 5 reasons to take a trade. The Qs, we can go over the Qs for a sec. We can watch this. The difference in the Qs here is still that divergence, not on the MACD. So slight chance for just being some kind of pullback if we see some selling here. Some kind of pop in volatility looks like it's coming over the next couple days. If that volatility really just bottles up and we keep doing something like this and this and this, and then eventually that just kind of falls off. So just be cautious if we just keep heading up from here. I take other courses and I did learn new things. Yes, sir. I did finish it. The 3 to 5 reasons were definitely great. I think the 3 to 5 reasons after you learn about the indicators and then you're like, oh, this is the reasons I should be looking for with those indicators to take the trade. I thought that was very beneficial. I'm literally telling you exactly what I look for before I take a trade. So I'm glad you liked it, Bernie. Thank you for taking it, and thank you for the kind words. I really hope it helps you this week. I know that the market's been a little complicated the last week. It actually has. It's been kind of hard for day traders, I would say, from the day-to-day perspective with these earnings. And now it's like it continues this week. So I expect this week to be a little bit difficult. And I think you just need some more skills to take trades confidently. And that course is a good way to do that. So 149 for the next 5 days. It's funny to me that NVIDIA is so red right now. Like, Meta makes sense. NVIDIA, I mean, it makes sense to pull back, but nothing else is really pulling back too heavy. I mean, Microsoft with the bad news, that makes sense. Google, this one, I guess that makes sense too, right? But it makes sense for these ones to be pulling back, but for NVIDIA, I feel like when all these other ones are kind of producing some decent stuff across the board, like Apple and Tesla, you'd expect NVIDIA to do something. Gotta clean up these emails. Now, for today, we have a big week of data, and we're most likely going to go live for Jerome Powell. So just note that today we most likely will be live for only another hour or so. We're going to watch some reactions here, but I just wanted to let you guys know that early, that most likely we're going to be stopping in about an hour just because we are going live for Jerome Powell. So make sure to like the stream so that we can get some more people in here for that Jerome Powell. Those are always some fun streams. You guys are always hilarious when Jerome Powell talks. Maybe we can hear him say, you know, close the fucking door or something like that. That'd be great. Down with that. That sounds fun. Apple is so overbought now on this 2 hour and 30-minute at the same time. That's, oof. That's not the best sign for the first day of the week. I'm just going to say that. You don't want to see those big upward moves. You really want structure. If you wanted to see this go higher, well, you want to see this do this. maybe not even come all the way down, and then see a good move from there after grabbing some buyers in a liquidity zone. In a liquidity zone, this would be gray area for the market to bounce from. But since we're going to just trickle higher and mess around, if we keep doing that, it's going to maybe happen all of a sudden, and we could just take out that support there. So he's talking today. No, he's talking on Wednesday, I believe. Yeah, Wednesday. So Wednesday is going to be, I believe it's Wednesday. Why do I feel like I'm wrong on that? Let me just, God dang it. I just looked at this. My ADHD brain forgot. Yeah, Wednesday afternoon. So we will be live at 1 p.m. on Wednesday afternoon. So most likely the next 2 days, the morning streams will just last till 10 o'clock. And then we'll probably go live just for Jerome Powell on Wednesday. We'll see. I'll probably go live in the morning as well because we do get PMI and stuff. So most likely Wednesday, there'll just be 2 streams. And like always, if you guys want to like have a place to chat, I can leave it up for the day. That's kind of just up to you guys, but 2 hour overbought here, and you're still buy negative territory for Apple. I just think this is kind of crazy. The 2 hour being very overbought. It's coming up 0.98. It's pretty solid, actually. We actually could see that just, curl down and curl back up at this point for Apple. Good, solid upward move. I'm just going to click through, make sure nothing's hitting its ranges at this point. Google actually heading down towards its range right now, but not able to fully get there. Meta's range just below the previous low. Nvidia wasn't able to test its range either. Amazon has a big move priced in, so Tuesday, Wednesday for Amazon's going to be nutty. Tesla well outside of that range. Still looking for that retest. Got to be cautious with it. The VIX really saying, hey, I kind of want to go higher here. SPY's confusing me. That's what we're talking about. It's a very hard market to trade in right now because there's too many rocks in the stream. Just means like, hey, maybe I don't jump in the water. You know what I mean? Like, too many rocks in the stream. Maybe I just sit on the side in my water bottle for a second before I pour into that stream. What's the whisper number for Amazon? I don't have whispers up right now. I mean, if you want to see the overall, like what Amazon should produce from earnings, right? Just click in here. Okay, estimated earnings 0.842, estimated revenue 142.655 billion. All right, so that's pretty much what I'm paying attention to. But note that even if these numbers are good, the stock can go down, right? Someone just said SoFi had good numbers, but the stock goes down. That's because they're all releasing some kind of statement, some kind of news about the business with those earnings. So just be cautious. You can see 2 bad prints here and see the stock go up. That's why I'm not messing around with any earnings at this point. Now I might try to trade take an Apple trade or some kind of pull back down like this before earnings actually happens. I have a lot of time till that happens on a 30 minutes, so I can play something like this, right? We come fill this gap, we come down, we grab liquidity. That would be very good. What do we have in this area? Well, we actually do have like this massive liquidity of a left shoulder if you want to. Boom, across. Now we pull back down. Okay, now I have a head and shoulders. I know it's crazy to think of it that way, but really this is just liquidity. So if we go down to this level in any way, well, you're in a cool big liquidity zone down here. So this could be where you gather up and see that breakout. But for now, the direction is up. Got to hedge in this environment. I think that's the way to put it too. Like if you want to stay in Apple, because this looks really good from the daily side. This is exactly what we saw back here. Look, it's in the same area too. What do we see? Boom. What do? We skyrocketed before earnings. We saw a drop off back down to the 20, and then we just kept going. So I'm just saying, like, that can happen again. What do? We skyrocket, we drop down with earnings, and then we just keep going with maybe some, not geopolitical, some economic news, some data. Maybe that actually helps us springboard higher as well with some other earnings. Definitely leaning bearish here. Have longer term puts, but short-term calls as a hedge. Okay, yeah, so you're hedging the upside here, and you think a lot of this is going to fade out. Nvidia going up. Well, you want to see this 30-minute curl back up, positive territory. I think that's my main thing that I pay attention to in a positive trend. I really like my 30 minutes and my 2 hours. So if I'm seeing a 30-minute pull up and then it curls up the 2 hour, then I know I can hold it a little bit longer. But Nvidia in this area, still expecting a little bit more of a pullback. I'd like to get at least back down into this zone before heading higher. But it doesn't matter what I'd like, right? I'm saying that's to take a trade. I would like that. But if it just wants to curl up right now, you're in positive territory. So anytime that curls up, you can see positivity. But do you really want to get in here when you do have potential to pull back all the way to 829, 830? All right, and then see that move again. This is even if this just did this and entered here and you got that cross right here, this is still a better entry than right now, just because you would beat down a little bit more. Now, it's not to say the stock can't go up from here. It's just saying, as a trader, you have to think of how to set yourself up to get a good price and all that stuff. SPY, we can take a quick look at the 1 hour. I still like my 30 minutes a little bit better, but you can see the 1 hour, you don't necessarily have divergence or anything like that, but it's still there. It still can go negative. You could just beat down and then curl back up though. So looking for something like that. But it's just not looking the best. Now, this isn't overbought on the hourly. That's important. You're not overbought yet. So we actually could just maybe see a pullback or just keep going. And we'll see. But for now, you kind of went towards that daily expected move, pretty much right up towards it. And then you started to drop off. Oh, okay, we're hanging out within the flagging more so than trying to test that daily expected move. Mara, I usually pay attention to what Bitcoin's doing. So Mara's going to see big drop-offs when Bitcoin sees big drop-offs. And the thing about Bitcoin right now, what are you seeing? You're seeing it drop off. Something I'm paying attention to on Bitcoin, though, is you could see a bounce here. You have triple divergence on the 2 hour with this wedging going on. You can see it without me even drawing it, right? Boom, wedge. Here, I'll draw it for you. Look at this. Boom, you see this, we're coming down like that right there. Alrighty, and then we go like this, and we say, all right, and we're wedging here. See how when you're good at it, when you take the course, you can be maybe this good at it. We encourage you to look at a ton of charts after, during those sections, so you can really look at what the MACD is doing, look at the points where you see divergence, and look at how it played out. But Bitcoin here, 2 hours is what I like to look at. It's kind of like my 30-minute. See that curl up, look at that too. Well, you could curl up a 4 hour. So at that point, you could curl up a 4 hour, and then boom, look at that. You have divergence here as well. So we could be getting another strong move from Bitcoin going forward. And the reason I'm talking about that is because you asked about Mara. And so Mara, what could we see here? Well, we could see a pullback, but as of right now, the Bitcoin actually showing you some upside there. But you do have a solid double top for Mara. So maybe that doesn't play out. I would really pay attention to Mara breaking down below this wick. Okay, that might be telling. But overall, I just want to see, can this 30-minute curl back up into positive territory at any time? I hope that was helpful, Jay. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you guys for liking, subscribing, doing all the things. Now, let's see what gold was able to do. Gold kind of fizzling out over here. Looks like it wants to make another move down, but this 2 hour looks like we can make maybe a small divergence or something like that. Maybe we want to do a weekly range for Google next week. We'll think about that. 2 hour for oil looks like it could curl up into positive territory again, right? Could. It's rejecting as of right now. So if we do get that move, just see if we're able to get above 84.72. That'll be pretty telling. That was a previous support, right? Support. We break down below it, but we don't close below it. Then when we lose it, what happens? It flushes. We get excited above it. It flushes. Now we're going to go up to it, do a flush again, and use it as resistance. Or maybe we just resist for a second, then we pop through it. That'd be a very good sign. Now, if this wants to just see a big move, I'd look for it to retake that. That's what I'd be looking for there, and then look for that beat down and then get back in that move. As of right now for oil, let's look at this on the daily scale as well. Haven't curled up into positive territory, and you're kind of struggling to get above the moving averages right now. So you could just continue down a little bit. Maybe it wants more structure down at these lows. That's when I'd pull up like a 4 hour, see if it drops down, creates some kind of double bottom. We're doing good today. We're really talking about stocks. I'm loving it. Are you guys having fun today? Who's having fun? Oh, wait, we're not allowed to have fun on this channel. Sorry. No fun. Man, it looks like we got a little battle between the Bulls and the Bears. Looks like the Bears haven't stepped in just yet. That 30-minute curls over, though. You probably have your pullback. It's worrisome with the divergence, though, because neither of these really got that oversold or overbought. All right, guys. I want you guys to spam in the chat. Do you guys think we end up higher or lower by the end of the day? I am going to go make another cup of coffee real quick, and I'll be right back. Welcome, Alan. Fancy Flavor. Let's say hi to you guys real quick. Alan, Jay, thank you for asking some questions. Kalani, thank you for asking some questions. Dave G, welcome, welcome. Ray D, what is up? Hopefully you get some stuff on that Amazon, but make sure to be careful around those earnings. Donald, welcome. Trump Man, Trump Town. Thank you for telling us that the SPY is confusing. Yes, it is. You're in a battle between the Bulls and the Bears right now. Mark, thank you for joining. DD, Melody, Bernie, thank you so much for saying the kind words about the course. I'm glad that you were able to learn some stuff from it. But let me know if you think we end up higher or lower by the end of the day. Do we get a green bar or a red bar? I'm going to go make a cup of coffee, and I will be right back. 2 minutes. And all right. We got a lot of people out there saying red. We got a lot of people out there saying red. So now we take that information, right? A lot of people are saying red. Now, who thinks that in this scenario we should take this as a contrarian, or who thinks that we should take this as the sentiment of the market at this point? Who thinks that's going on? Because there's two ways to read into it. There's two ways to read into it when everyone says like lower, right? It's, are we actually going to head lower because of that sentiment, or are we going to be contrarian because of that? Well, at this point, you'd say that sentiment is most likely going to take over it, honestly. The way the signals are set up, at least. Neither, just sideways. Carlos says Nvidia's green by end of day. Very well could happen. Apple, let's click around a little bit. Apple, look at that, it's starting to fade just a little bit here. Nothing too crazy. We really got to take out this previous bar. Tesla not really fading, just kind of moving sideways. So now we got stuff mostly moving sideways for the most part. Nvidia moving sideways for the most part. AMD making that upward move again. Just pay attention. It created another point of divergence for AMD. Be a little bit careful with that. And Meta trying to make that downward move. Microsoft already making the downward move. Microsoft looks all right. If Microsoft can curl back up on a 30-minute, I think you got more positivity going. Netflix just bottling up. Netflix is waiting to choose a direction, right? It seems like every time we go negative, we're still just very, very flat. So Netflix might be waiting for some news. Maybe this is a good opportunity to go over. Just look at what kind of... Oh, and David Dennis, thank you so much for purchasing the course. Make sure that you know in the course that we do tell you to email me all the time if there's something you have a question with. I'm glad, Bernie, you didn't have any questions. It seemed you were able to understand it. The way that I made it is very, very easy to understand. But if you do have questions, you can always email me. I had people who don't even look at charts before try to understand it, like try to take the MACD section, and they were like, oh, that makes total sense. So even someone who has never seen a chart before can understand the course. And so if you understand charts, then you're going to get even more from it. So I really appreciate that, David. Thank you for buying that course today. Let me know what you think. Remember, guys, 149 just for the next few days. Looking over, though, I wanted to maybe actually go into earnings whispers, just because I want to see what could affect the market tomorrow morning or after hours tonight. So I want to see what could happen there. So Monday today, we're going to see what's going on. Logitech. Ooh, Logitech. Okay. Well, Logitech, I have your keyboard, so hopefully you have good earnings. Seems like we have some banks going on. China Holdings. Let's look for tomorrow. See, so tomorrow might be the more important day overall because we're not seeing too much from that. Obviously, Amazon after hours and AMD after hours, SMCI, Starbucks. Starbucks happens tomorrow. Riot, Pinterest. A lot of stuff giving some earnings tomorrow. Lumen's giving some earnings. Anything else that pops out at us? Nothing really that pops out. A lot of energy stuff. Some energy stuff coming out. Ooh, Denny's. Denny's has their earnings tomorrow. Who eats breakfast at Denny's? No. Breakfast at properties. So some random stuff going on, but looks like some energy stuff and overall, but the most important going to be those top 5 there. The top 5 going to be very important here. Amazon, AMD, SMCI, Starbucks, and I would say maybe this Riot. Riot looks pretty important, right? Riot blockchain. You're contrarian? Okay. Understandable. Let's go back over to the SPY, see if that contrarian's working out for you. It is. It's green. It's green. Apple fading at just a tiny bit more. Tesla not fading. Amazon trying to fade that move, but I think the SPY is the most important thing to pay attention to, guys. Green week. I think by end of week we end up green. That's my statement. I think we get some kind of bear trap, and then we end up green by end of week. That's my take. That's my... Let's be honest here. When we all say these things, it's pretty much a guess based on. But like, if you look at the structure and this actually proves itself, it would say, okay, if all of this stuff happens, if a 2-hour curls over, creates that divergence, then we bounce. That would mean that good news is coming out at the end of the week. And the end of the week is while we're getting all the data. The end of the week is when we're getting a bunch of very important earnings. So, but if we end up green by end of week, it's probably going to mean positivity for a little bit. Nvidia looks to bounce back above this V dip, but then fade into the afternoon. No shot. JP has to be hawkish this week, has no choice. Midweek will be green, and then he speaks pullback. And that very well could happen. Very well could happen. But just know, like, people in this market right now are addicted to the good news and they're willing to ignore the bad news. Remember when we got CPI to go up for 2 months in a row and we ended up like going to new all-time highs throughout the entire move? Remember when CPI came in lower, PMI really pumped up? So we know inflation's back, but it still goes up. And the fact that inflation's back means, well, the price of stocks go up because they're inflationary. But as of right now, you'd just be like, okay, what's HYG doing? What's TLT doing? What are those guys doing? They're just testing these levels. The SPY getting a little bit excited, right? It seems like the SPY's a little more excited, getting above this level. So that would tell you, well, the TLT, the smart money's just right here. So they're being cautious before the earnings, and then they'll decide if they want to go up or down, is what it seems like to me. Now, if you see that upward move, you're probably right, Happy Friday. If we see an upward move going into Wednesday, it's probably not the best. So like an upward move would be this, the Qs, right? We see maybe a slight pullback and then we just see a pump. Maybe we get all the way up to 438.28. That's a very important level to take back. Okay, but in that area, do we see rejection from that area at any time? That would most likely be your lower high. Don't think this correction is over. Likely to see another leg down, then a rally to fill the gap at 42 or 5,200 or new time high or new all-time high before the big crash. And I think that's more what I'm saying, Dave. I think me and you are more in alignment. But we're still reacting based on what the stocks actually do in front of us, right? I'm not saying this stuff and then being like, oh, I'm short everything because I think it's going to make another move. That's the point. All I'm saying is I think until I have something that can lead me towards I know, I'm not taking a trade. So until I see the SPY curl over. Bezos sold so much, Mark Z sold so much, and Meta crashed. Yeah, we brought that up a little bit this morning, and someone else brought that up in the chat this morning, which is a very, very good point to talk about. If you're talking about Amazon, it's like, okay, well, throughout this whole time up here, right, if we just maybe pull out to a 2 hour, we say this whole time up here, throughout this whole move, this is when Bezos started selling, literally like February, early February, selling. I think he was like fully stopped selling around here, so he's, willing to hold whatever his portion is at that point, but still selling up into mainly this area right in here. And then boom, that thing drops off. So now you're saying, though, is he getting back in? Maybe we need to look at some SEC filings or something like that. So I can go pull those up real quick. I can click around. I can type in Jeff Bezos' name, actually, and even see what he's doing. So we can see Jeff Bezos here, search. All right, what is he doing? All right, that didn't want to pop up for us. Let's just see if anyone's selling or buying into Amazon now. A lot of selling on Amazon across the board here. Just know that can change, but the CEO of Amazon Web Services placed a sell on Amazon for, what is that? He sold probably almost $500,000. That came out. His last selling was the 22nd, so a week from today, a week ago. A lot of the insiders here are selling Amazon last week, but then Amazon got that pullback, so you got to see, they're not necessarily buying at these levels, though, is what I would tell you at this point. You check gold. Yeah, gold still looks like the level where it wants to bounce, but I think you could see consolidation. You could see a downward move here. I'd really see if this 2 hour can go negative, but just look how flaggy this looks. Doesn't this look like just sideways movement? So what do I want to do? Probably look at an hourly. See if that actually curls down again. You have that direction. Look at the curvature of the MACD. So the reason I pay attention to an hourly sometimes is when the MACD looks like this, because that's a very simple upward trend there. We could see another drop off. Maybe this is an ABC pattern, right? We go boom like this, and then we get the second drop soon. When that does curl over, let's say it happens from here. Okay, we could head down to 208. Now, the thing about 208, the thing about that is 205 is really important. 208 kind of lines up with this gap fill here. So if you wanted to pay attention to that level, totally understand, makes total sense. This level right in here, it's not going to be perfect. You don't need everything to be spot on and exact. You just need to have the level to pay attention to. So 207.80 is where I would think the next leg down starts to hold up in that area. If we're able to fill that, that would make a lot of sense. If that's brief, we could make a divergence there. That's what I'd say for gold. It looks like a turn down is possible. Pay attention to the hourly. If we're going to see it turn up, well, the 2 hour has to be able to get positive here. The 2 hour, if you wanted to take the upside play, you just be waiting and seeing if that goes positive. Then you kind of know, oh, I'm going to test this high, make a new one. If that doesn't go positive, though, you want to watch that hourly. If that hourly curls over, right? Something we've been talking about live a lot is it's very good to take a trade when you see these type of signals. 2 hour curling up, it's been positive for a long time. This could be the pullback. Okay, cool. How could I get screwed? If that hourly curls over, I'm screwed. So if that hourly curls over at any time, I say, nope, I have no reason to take upside, creates a divergence. Now I have a reason to take upside. And see, that's kind of a basics into the course with the multiple reasons to take a trade. That's pretty much one of them right there. So if you want to learn more stuff like that, that's where the course really comes in handy. NVIDIA looks to bounce, but I did want to look at NVIDIA after that comment. There it is. 157 people in here. Thank you guys for showing up today. 2 hour not able to curl over just yet for NVIDIA. Thank you guys for liking, subscribing. We're getting some new people in, and that's always great. We're growing the channel. That's awesome. Growing the community. 30-minute here. Still moving sideways. Now, if you want to say V-shape, I'm guessing you're looking at very small time frames because that would probably be what you consider V-shape at this point. And then you'd say, okay, maybe I'm looking for not a 5-minute, a 15-minute divergence or something like that. Maybe this actually does go higher, and then we see that drop off. So what I want to pay attention to is, well, if I'm part of the Patreon, I can pay attention to my weekly expected moves. I can go over to my weekly expected moves list. Hey, we could still get a solid move from here out of NVIDIA. We haven't done anything yet. So just pay attention to that. We could see some kind of slight upward move. We'll pay attention to any kind of 15-minute divergence we see today. Volatility dropping below 15 at this point on the 2 hour, so something to pay attention to there. Now 30-minute, let's see, 1504 looked pretty important actually, and then now we actually have the opportunity to set up a double bottom or just continue to break down. So volatility heading lower from this area, no reaction yet off the 200. Let's see if we're getting that exact test. Not yet, we have to go down a little bit lower. So VIX has to go all the way down to something like 1491 to get that real retest of the 200 at this point. Which just tells me, hey, this thing can be bullish for just a little bit longer and we can go into that daily expected move most likely. What's happening here? Well, what if we confirm a 15-minute divergence and this just turns around? Well, that would be some bad news. So as of right now, seeing that upward move, but are we going to reject from this move here, and does that retest the 200 on the VIX at the same time? I can pay attention to multiple things at once. Huge skill there. Actually, the daily MACD for the SPY able to turn up. As of right now, I'm getting a slight green impression. So if we don't want that daily momentum to take over and dramatically see some upside, which maybe Happy Friday has it right, we see some dramatic upside and then that gets ripped away later in the week. That very well could happen. So what I'm paying attention to right now, if that daily MACD ends up green by the end of the day, I might not even be playing any downside. Waiting for a bigger pullback in silver. Silver definitely bullish. I think silver and gold very bullish. Based on how the I've watched I don't know, he's like some Australian guy. I like to watch him every once in a while. Sometimes when I'm holding my daughter, I just sit there and watch stock videos and fundamental side videos. Because you guys, I'm a trader that bases a lot of mine on the charts, but I'm not unaware of what's going on with the fundamental side. And he was overall, bringing up points where, even the Bank of America CEO was like, we want to go to a cashless society. We want to go to a digital society, digital everything. And then he showed clips of at a Bank of America, someone was trying to pull out just $3,000, which is their limit now. You can't go get more than $3,000 apparently, at least where he was. And but if you do take even $3,000 out, you have to tell them exactly what you're using the money for, which is very, very scary. Like, it's your money and you can't use it. And the weird thing is the bank called the cops on the guy because he was just trying to get money out of his account. That's it. He was just trying to pay for like a house bill or something. Like he was trying to pay for, I don't know, maybe an update to the house, maybe something else. I don't know. But either way, no bank should even ask you. It should be, hey, I want $3,000 out. Okay, here's $3,000. Michael Cohen, that's it. Michael Cohen. I really like him. I actually like him on the fundamental side. The problem with the fundamental side is you have to know charts, guys. You have to know charts because fundamentals take forever and they don't necessarily give you a signal for like, oh, right now until it's too late. So by the time you see, if you really want to talk about, let's just see what's happening. Well, the fundamental side back at the previous top over here. First of all, on the previous top, what did you have on the weekly? Well, you had some divergence at these levels, right? We had almost a triple divergence across all this. So we could see some wonkiness over the next few weeks or even months. But what we want to pay attention to is this signal proved, and then it wasn't till, so you see how we sell off a little bit. That signal proved way back here, actually. That signal proved way back here, but you notice it took a whole nother like 2 months for that news to really catch up and affect the price action. So that news was coming out throughout this entire time, but hey, this is where I need to pay attention, right at this bar, because we could see some major drop-offs. Maybe I want to go into a shorter time frame, look at the daily divergence. There was daily divergence up here, and then boom, that confirms itself. Then news comes out a few days later. So technicals are very, very good to have, and just having some knowledge about the fundamental side is very good, is what I would say. But Michael Cohen, very, very good guy. Would love to chat with him about stuff sometime, pick his brain, because he's so, he knows a lot about the fundamentals. I would say more so than I do. I'm mainly just the charts, and then I know a lot of fundamental stuff from just learning on my own. But I would really like to pick his brain about some stuff, see how he feels about it. Right now, he's really worried about a digital dollar, and he thinks that we're overall going to move there. I heard in Europe, if anyone's from Europe, if you try to pay for anything with $1,000, over $1,000 cash over there, 1,000 euros, you get like a black mark. That's what he was saying. He was like, you get a black mark on your account saying like, oh, you can be fined for doing that. So you're at a point where apparently in Europe, you can get fined for paying for something with cash if it's over $1,000. I want anyone to try to confirm that, but that's what Michael was saying, and I was like, damn, that's freaking crazy. China, you're a weirdo for buying cash. The problem with cash, guys, huge problem. If any kind of serious war breaks out and then we're EMP'd, you're fucked. It's the only time I'll cuss. I don't cuss very often on the channel. I really don't. I try not to. I don't think it's an area where we should, but truly you are screwed if this goes to a digital dollar, because now, one, they have full control over you, and two, if something bad happens, it just goes into chaos. You don't have anything to fall back on besides gold and silver. So that's why I think whoever brought up gold or a silver pullback, I actually do think there's a lot of value coming in gold and silver. I'm not saying that's going to be right now. I'm saying we could experience a time where, silver and gold actually pull back. And then by next year, though, gold and silver are hitting, areas that you would never expect. I used to watch him, but he's never right, like Bravo. And that's why I'm saying, like, fundamentals, get it wrong. Like, there's so many bad things going on in the economy right now, but stocks go up. So one thing about the difference, I think, between Jay Bravo and Michael is at least Michael's talking about the chart structure more so, I would say, than Michael. And therefore, he's like, yeah, I'm telling you, like, sometimes he'll literally say, I'm telling you all this bad news. But if you watch the entire video, usually at the end, he'll pull up a chart or something like that. And I don't watch him anymore, really. But you could say now he's a little bit better because he'll show you the chart and be like, now I just told you all that bad info. But look, the stock market's going to go up because of this, this, and this. Now, he oversimplifies it, in my opinion. He oversimplifies it. It is a skill, and we make it simple here on this channel, but it is a skill. Like, it's not just throw money when this happens and it's good. It's like there's a lot more to pay attention to than that. And that's why I think my course is very good. Even with gold and silver, nobody will be able to buy them. We will end up paying for food with nuggets. Market's about to crash. Totally get it. Totally get it. Very well could. I'm from Germany and I've never heard of this $1,000 rule. I got a C, but it was the I think it was like their Fed, their head of their banks or whatever actually said it. I could pull up the clip if you want, Kevin, or at least search for it so that you can see. Or if you just go over to Michael Cohen, his channel, and check it out, maybe just like it or something so you have it and then watch it after the stream. 2022, J Bravo, keep harping too short below the 200 AMA or MA. The rest is history. Yeah. And that's why I think one thing I think he doesn't necessarily pay good attention to are divergences, are things like that, are the support levels. He's just more like, oh, it crosses above this moving average, buy it. Shorting below the 200. He's trying to, people do that, but they swing trade below the 200. But like that takes so much time that if you just gain the better skills, you can make a lot on the way up and down, right? So if you make money on the way down, well, you can find weakness above the 200, and then you can trade that on the way down, because a lot of pullbacks just happen to the 200. No, he only cares about selling his indicators. Hey, you're only using free. We're only using free indicators here, right? Free ones. You get the MACD, you get the RSI. Maybe you have to pay. If you want some Bollinger Bands and things like that, you might need to pay for what, like $20 a month or something. I bought and made tons, like when he told you to sell. Hey, that's great, DD. I appreciate that. I still like Jay Bravo. Like, I think he gives good fundamentals. He's a character, and he teaches decent information, I would say, about swing trading. The other ones I'd have to look into, but he's I mean, he's not wrong to bring up that stuff, and most of the time, he shouldn't be telling you to buy or short things, but it doesn't affect your bottom line. But Lucas, can you please explain how you calculate the daily and weekly ranges? So you just have to, I mean, anyone could do it. You can look up the way to calculate it. The problem for me is there's like multiple different ways to calculate it. I would tell you this, Luke. In the course, that's an easy way to get it. I show you a way to do it without calculating, but pretty much all you need to make those weekly ranges is you need the implied volatility, you need the price, the closing price, and then you need an expiration date. That's pretty much all you need to calculate it. But I'm going to tell you right now, for some reason, it took me longer to do it than usual. Like, it felt like I could never find the right implied volatility. So I had to play with it for a little while. I played with it for months before I actually like started to use them. Because I was like, are these right? Are these right? And then I started to realize and backtest. Well, not necessarily backtest, but I started to test it every week, and I would use 2 different calculations. But pretty much you just need implied volatility, the closing price, and an expiration date. But I wouldn't base trades on what he says. Hey, if the market is very bullish and we're in great times, he's going to be right. He's going to be right if we're in great times and we're in a bullish trend and all that kind of stuff. He's going to be right on the swing trading. But as far as the actual skill of trading on a weekly basis, I think that this stuff, what we go over here, is solid information. Try to refresh, Dawson. Am I frozen for anyone else? Will Tesla go up this week? Well, yes. It's up 11. It's up 12%. Hardest. Now, what would you say from here? Well, we're probably going to pull back at some point. The next move might be a pullback and then an upward move. You're way better than Jay Brown. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. He's got more subs, though, so maybe he is better. He's more entertaining. The overall goal of this channel, guys, be helpful. Be helpful. Get you guys to learn. If I can help in any way, that's literally the only thing that I want to happen. And that's why I have one of the cheapest courses. That's why all that stuff's going on. That's why I talk very extensively about stocks. We're not just saying, like, we're not just watching them, right? We're actually talking about them every time we look. GDP 1.6% growth with all this government spending, recessions. Recession as we speak. Well, technically, the economy's in recession before the stock market proves a recession, right? And you would say with the inflation, with how the sentiment is, at least with the people in my community around me, like the real people around me, People are still spending like crazy, but I think they're like addicted to spending. Yeah, I could look at J&J for you, J-Dubs. Welcome back, J-Dubs. So good pullback. Now we're below that 147.24, so you got to be a little careful here. Starting to try to scoop back up. I would just say 2 hour. Look at this 2 hour. If that can curl up and go positive, you're going to see that good move. And you are seeing tapering in this move. So really pay attention, because if this 2 hour starts to print green here, we just see that buy up. Okay, boom, you test this high, you make a new one. So at this point, you'd say, this is a very good pullback. This is a very, very good pullback. You're below the moving averages, though, so no reason to take the trade yet. You need to probably take the course, make sure you get those reasons to take a trade would more likely be here, because as of right now, you're curling down, right? So you want to pay attention to that. Let's look at it on the daily scale here, just showing how, hey, we could see that roll down. Now you have to be open to both directions. This is the stock market. We don't know what the stock is going to do. We just find times where the probabilities are with us. Hey, if that 2 hour curls up, probabilities are with you here. That thing's going to go up probably to 150.96 at least. If you get above that, we can talk about some more bullishness. If it's going to go down, well, then look for a daily divergence down here first. Make sure that's not doing anything. But if this curls down, negative territory, we could see a sharp turn and then see that V shape. Better base is what I'm looking for before we head up. How do market makers react to situations like Tesla blowing through expected moves so fast? Okay, so there's two things going on here. Either you would say they are in this or they aren't. This is something that maybe a lot of the insiders are buying into at this point. But if you're talking about it from the weekly expected move perspective, well then, let's say 180.92 is our weekly range. All right, let's say 182 is the weekly range, or 180.92, right there, that white line. It's not, just so you're aware. You can go over to Patreon if you want. That's down in the description there with the course. But if this is what is expected, this 180.92, and this is unexpected, you think of the mentality. Well, I expect to make this much money this week. Now I have the potential to make this much money this week. Therefore, you could see selling. That's usually what happens. Usually moves like this early on in the week will fade dramatically, because this is a very, very good pop. People bought down at 140. Now you're up almost, 50, 45 points. So boom, that would be an area where people might start to take profit early this week because something unexpected happens so fast. If I was in this move and I saw this, I would be out of this right now. I would not be in this anymore. I'd be like, hey, I made great money here. That is a 12% move. That is a huge move. I'm out of this. Okay, that was unexpected, so I'm going to take my money. Okay, now we're going to pull down. But it doesn't mean we can't use the top as support at this point. So we want to pay attention to the 30-minute. We want to pay attention to the shorter time frames regarding Tesla. Oh, regarding Tesla, what about people on the bottom side of the range? People on the bottom side of the range are screwed, if that's what you're saying. It's a similar thing, okay? So if it goes to the bottom side, you still have that pretty much up here, you have a 68% chance for a pullback, because people most likely at least take profit here. Or if you get bad news, those people are going to sell quickly and you're going to go right back to the gap fill. If that happens the opposite direction, okay, we get excited to the downside, then we get a little good news, boom, that thing can rocket up. So if you're taking a put here and you're expecting it to come fill this gap, and then we go all the way down to 128, okay, boom, look at that move. If that happened quickly, wouldn't you be like, oh, that's great money? SoFi just had the earnings, but so not much to say based on that just yet. You have to wait a few days for this thing to tell you what's going to happen. Right now, you're going into a point where you do not want to lose. You don't want to lose this point down here. $7, very, very important for SoFi. You can see we're already getting to oversold territory. Someone came in, they said they actually had a pretty good print. Look at that, good print again. Oh my God, great print again. And downward pressure, right? So downward move even with the good print. Now we have to see if that wants to curl back up. I hope that was easy to understand. Dal, I hope that was easy to understand. But overall, it's just, if I had a stock, if I had Bitcoin at $100 and it unexpectedly, right? People were saying, maybe they're saying, hey, it's supposed to get to $1,000 by the end of the month. And then by halfway through the month, it gets to $2,000. Well, what do? Well, if I'm a good trader, I don't get caught up in my emotions. I say, okay, I sell here, or maybe I at least take enough to just play with house money from there. Maybe I'm investing in Bitcoin, something like that. But you will most likely see people taking profit and then saying, hey, I'm going to at least break even, move my stop up, right? Dow rolling down. Let's go check that out real quick. So 30-minute on the Dow. Remember, this one not getting above here. The SPY going like this. The Dow still like this. So not a good signal. Still haven't curled over on the 30-minute for the MACD, but it's about to happen. It looks like it is. I'm glad that makes sense. Okay, good. Good. SPY below the 50, we'll see that. This is where that lower high can come in. That's why we have this zone here, and the SPY is, going up towards that 50. So trying to test that right now. That's where some resistance can come in. That just happened to line up. That's good. This is our sell zone. We're still waiting for that confirmation. Still waiting for, I would say, a strong confirmation at this point, by the way. If we get some fizzling out and just keep moving sideways, I'd still look for a good confirmation, maybe below this low, or even taking out this gap. That would be a good confirmation that we're probably going to at least go down to this bottom of the channel. And then if we break through that, you're going to see the 2-hour rolling over, and we're just going to have downside. Snap actually didn't Snap have earnings recently? I haven't looked at Snap in a long time. But the daily side here, that's what you'll pay attention to. All right, you were stuck in a range. You break the top, break the bottom. All right, the direction was chosen here. Now you're positive. You can see a big move still. I don't have weekly ranges or anything like that, but you're spreading out the Bollinger Bands. Look how tight those were. So if anything, it's like, okay, upside is the direction. What do I want to pay attention to from here? A 30-minute curling down. If I can find the 30-minute curling down on this MACD, boom, it just curls up at any point. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to test this high. I'm going to go make a new one. So if that wants to do something like this, boom, curls over. If that dips deeper, you have more probability of a lower high. So just pay attention how deep this is. But if this does something like this, even gets towards the center line and curls back up, well, that would be looking something like this, curls back up. Good solid entry maybe right here for some kind of, well, I would say a swing trade to the upside. Do I think the SPY will hit 511? I think it will. I just don't think it happens right now. I mean, even though the daily range is saying 511, I think that selling needs to come in very soon. So we'll be paying attention to that going forward. And let's just go through some stocks here because we're hitting 10 o'clock. Remember, we are going to make sure to like the live stream. Join the Patreon, right, if you want those weekly ranges for individual stocks. And the trading course is only $149 for the next 5 days. And it'll teach you a lot of the stuff I talk about. I'm literally teaching you exactly what I do in the market. And you'll even get a bear market strategy. So you'll not only learn about the indicators extensively, learn about the 5 reasons that I can make to take a trade. And that section's very, very good. Just you'll learn a lot about a bear market strategy for if things get a little crazy. That's when it's harder to do it. Is the daily range in the Patreon. Daily ranges are just on here until Friday. Friday is when we give the daily ranges. Oh, Thursday night. Thursday night is when we give the daily ranges for every stock that we cover. You need that expiration date to make a daily range, so you can't necessarily make it for individual stocks. Now, people have priced in moves for earnings, right? But most of the time, they're actually basing that off a weekly. I saw someone say this about Amazon. So Amazon here, if I can click over to that, I'll tell you how big of a move is priced in for this earnings according to this week. Well, it's a 9% move. So really, when they're giving you those expected moves for earnings before the week starts, they're actually telling you the weekly range most of the time. So if you just pay attention and you see a YouTube creator just telling you like, oh, the expected move is 9%, and they're looking at some website, well, that's what the weekly ranges are doing. So if we wanted to test how good our weekly range is, well, what's our weekly range? Ours is calculated in at about 8.6%. They said 9%. I know my range is pretty good. But going through, so Amazon looks like a big move could be coming. That makes sense. Earnings is right around the corner, so just be cautious with that. See if it proves some structure first, and then we'll see what happens. But we've been seeing huge gaps from these earnings, so I'm not going anywhere near it. The Qs, since we're trying to do this in some kind of order, remember that the Qs have a little bit more likelihood to just pull back and then base out. Even if they want to do something like this and base out, just pay attention when that 30-minute curls back up. But if we want to move sideways even and then curl up, just wait for this MACD to get towards that center line and curl up. We very well could see what Happy Friday is talking about if we just move sideways here. Because if you move sideways here for a long time, you'll get towards that center line. You see a breakout above this high. Well, you go make a new one. Maybe we pay attention to a daily expected move around 438 tomorrow. Maybe that's what we need to pay attention to. So looking for the Qs, though, it looks like a pullback is more likely because you don't have the divergence at the same time. Now, Apple, this is a big move. We went up to the sell zone again. Wait for this thing to be down before the next move up. It really looks like volatility might come back in. And Tesla and Apple are really the only things truly holding up this market. A few things are green, right? But you have, we're going to go through them. So a few things are green here. These are the green ones. Would I FOMO into a move here? Probably not. I would more likely like to see some kind of pulling back, a retest of 180.92, and then maybe that upward move is coming in the future. So just being patient will really help out. We talk about that in the course as well. Being patient, a very good skill to have. Now this here, Amazon, getting a little excited. Remember, I was like, it's getting excited. Be worried up here if it gets too excited. You really wanted this to do this, even going on throughout today, and then curl back up with earnings right around the corner. That would be good structure to head up. Am I going to mess around with this? No, I'm not going to. NVIDIA, this one here, what are we looking for? Well, we're looking for a little pullback. This thing looks like it's pretty cooked on the 30-minute. What could happen? Well, we come down to this zone. Maybe that's a little bit more dramatic. We come down to this zone, and then we see that buy back up. The better entry, even if we go like this, the better entry is not here. It's actually right over here because now you're building that liquidity over time, and then you see that scoop back up with some new buyers coming in. So I would just be patient for NVIDIA for the next move. And if it makes that rapid move up, be worried. Happy Friday might be right. We might see this ripped away. Right now for AMD, slight divergence here in the nearest price action. Just want to pay attention to that. But we're in a channel, so if we scoop up anytime, you're in positive territory. You're pretty high up there, so just pay attention to that going forward. Pretty much 30 minutes and 2 hours. 2 hours curling over are a real confirmation that we could come and test these lows down here for pretty much a lot of stocks that we're looking at, except for probably Apple and Tesla. Those look like they're going to hold up a little better. Now, we were talking about how, the market's really being held up by what? Amazon, Tesla, and Apple right now, it seems like. So we're seeing this drop off on Meta by 1.5%. That's not the best news. 30-minute curling down and creating a divergence. That's what we want to pay attention to, right? For now. But just be cautious with that one and look for your weekly expected moves on Patreon, or at least take the course and you can make an expected move for any stock that you're looking at, because I teach you a way to do it with Robinhood. Microsoft, so you don't have to do that calculation, but Microsoft here dropping off, some bad news coming in, but will that continue? Well, we want to see if that 2 hours rolling over. We want to see if that 2 hours is able to roll over. You had divergence down here. What if we do that again? That could happen. Am I leaning towards that? Not necessarily for Microsoft. I think I'm just paying attention if this wants to curl up and go positive. If not, just because we have the opportunity for some head and shoulders now. You can see it left head, right shoulder over here. So just be careful if this wants to curl up right now and break through this high. It's probably going to have a strong move behind it. You got a solid move right here. About a 20-point move if that can break through. Now, you'd want to see, is it doing something like this? But we can talk about that when it starts to prove itself a little bit going forward. Now, Google, once again, I'm showing you all these. They're all bad, right? These are all bad. So the market really being held up by, what, 4 stocks right now? Now we're seeing Google drop off. Well, Google had a very, very strong move. I can pay attention to my weekly expected moves for Google. Hey, where are we going towards? We're actually going towards it right now. So if we see some kind of pulling back, look for that to scoop back up. Remember, this was some good buying. If we get bad news, Google can drop off. So just be cautious with Google. But you want to see that pull back and curl back up. So if this wants to curl back up positive, keep it pretty simple here. Positive after earnings, curls back down, curls up. Okay, positive here. But if you see a more dramatic drop off, be open to a lower high at that point. So if this actually fully goes negative, well, then you're pretty deep down there. Boom, this could happen. So just be cautious with that. You don't necessarily want to see like boom and then this, right? Because that's a dead cat bounce. You want to more see gradual selling, maybe like this direction here with that tapering. So hopefully that was all helpful. Let's go take a peek at the dollar real quick. Let's go look at the dollar. That thing's starting to roll over again, right? This 105.65, very important level to keep. So we'll pay attention to this going forward. Now, we don't like a 30-minute. We like a 2 hour at least for the dollar. Now the 2 hour here, what happened? Well, last night we actually around, what was it, 10 p.m. last night we tested these levels, and midnight we tested these levels, and then at 2 a.m. we tested these levels. So we tested these levels pretty extensively. A lot of wicking up here. There is some selling in this overall move, just because, you know, we knew on Friday, hey, there was selling. Now that could have been profit taking. So look for this to break out, curl up on that 2 hour MACD. I think that will be very, very telling. And from there, you can just pay attention to your 4 hour, see if that's able to fully go positive. We haven't been able to fully go positive yet. You see that kind of rejecting at this point. So if that bullishness comes in, Happy Friday might be right, because we might set up a 4 hour divergence and then boom, we're off to the races. And something that's telling you that as well is the volatility, right? Volatility is telling you, I got a 2 hour divergence, my 4 hours beat up. Now I'm curling down on this MACD as of right now, and I got 10 minutes left in it. But what if I'm creating a small divergence on a 30-minute or something? So now you'd have to be open to a little 30-minute divergence down here on the MACD. Now you might not see that on the RSI at the same time, because look at the RSI, it's already getting pretty cooked. So if we do see volatility come in, this is actually a little bit more likely to be a lower high for volatility. And I want to make you aware of that. Now, if this is going to go ballistic, this daily MACD has to turn back up. Daily MACD has to turn back up, and we have to see that 50 cross that 200, and boom, you got it. But as of right now, if I just keep zooming in, they're like barely not crossed. So this is a moment to pay attention. This is a pretty big crash signal if you can hold above the 50 once it crosses. But that's an important note to make. If you're going to take notes while watching anyone on YouTube, this is one you might want to take. Yes, this is a crash signal, as long as you use it as support and you keep going up. And then above 20, we talk about this in the course. That's why you should get it. You really should, because if we go into a bear market by getting above 20, and we see this stuff start to rip away pretty quick, which you guys know I'm leaning towards a crash in the form of a bear market, this is where that course will really help you out, give you those skills, because it's going to be a much more difficult market to trade in. And you're experiencing that right now. You really are. You're experiencing how difficult this market's going to be right now. Imagine if this lasted for a full year, how well would you do? Well, you might need some more skills. You might need a few more skills, a few more ways, a few more reasons to take a trade. And why not listen to someone like me? Because we've been talking about stocks all day. So hopefully you're learning some stuff here. And I'm just telling you, you can learn a lot more by taking that course. 149 for the next 5 days. All right, guys. Well, overall, I appreciate it. TLT making an upward move. Actually, let's go look at that real quick. Now, TLT, I was paying attention to this. This is one that could back off right now, but this 2 hour divergence could take over. What could we do? I think we could go all the way up to 90.32. Now, I am paying attention to my weekly expected moves still for TLT. Make sure nothing unexpected is happening. It looks like the level of about 90 or 89, like this level right up here, looks pretty good for this week. Maybe we see this, and then Jerome Powell comes out, and boom, those start to rise. But you'll notice that actually when the yields are rising now, a lot of the time we're actually seeing buying pressure. So as of right now, we're seeing that come back down, but TLT seeing that go up. So we'll pay attention to this going forward, but we got to just see if this correlation is going to hold or if it's going to go into a negative correlation overall. But thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. Remember, we're just cutting it a little bit short because we have Jerome Powell talking later this week, right? We have Jerome Powell talking on Wednesday. So most likely on Wednesday, we'll have 2 streams. We'll have 2 streams on there for you. So we will be live for the Jerome Powell speech. And then we'll talk about these, we'll talk about the Fed interest rate decision. We'll have to see. Inflation is still high, so it's going to be very interesting. Most likely they keep the similar tone, which is trying to be dovish, but coming off hawkish. Trying to be dovish, but saying we're holding these rates higher for longer is not a good thing. But it's a good thing to fight inflation. But just know eventually the bubble will pop and those yields will have to break down because something will break in the system. Banking system looks like it's going to go through some turmoil soon. But I really appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you guys want to learn some of this stuff, remember the course 149. Patreon's down below if you need some weekly ranges from your boy over here. And I'm just going to probably go to the gym and things like that. Wait for some stuff to build up for now and then react to it a little bit later. But make sure to tune in, like, subscribe as you guys leave the stream. And I just appreciate you guys being here. Have a good day, have a good day, and good luck with all your trading for the rest of the day. I'll talk to you guys later. See you on YouTube. Peace.